Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Game Mess Mornings with me, Jeff Grubb, your host from giantbomb.com. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about a favorite franchise getting a sequel, news out of Evo, and problems with a game that's been in development for 10 years. It's going to be a good one because we have Jon Martin on the show. John, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, Jeff. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Getting used to that new shorter intro is what I'm really doing. Actually,
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with that wordplay game. So on Friday, UPF, we did some fun stuff. We did that paddle game. It was actually a good time. Me and Beckler got way farther than I expected us to get. And then we did 100 Men versus Gorilla. I actually can't remember the name of the game I downloaded there. And Men won. We saw that. But then we played wordplay, which is Scrabble Balatro, and now it's all I played that all weekend. Actually, anytime I got like a minute, I kind of like was like, okay, I'm gonna go grab something from the basement real quick, and then I would sit down for 10 minutes and play some wordplay. It's really good. It's really solid. I've kind of been playing it nonstop. It's and all I'm thinking about, I'm like, okay, I could start coming up with some strategies. If I get okay, two vowels next to each other get me a bonus. And if I have two letters next to each other, that also gets me a bonus. Those stack. I could do that. Okay, here we go. And so I've been developing strategies even when I'm not playing. So that's where I'm at right now, John. I don't need a game like that to distract me from all the other games I should be playing, but here we
For
are.
sure.
How about you? I know you were spending some time watching Evo. How was it?
It was a very good tournament. I loved all of them I watched. I did not get a chance to watch a lot of the top eights yesterday on the second stream. I was watching the main stream, so like the Guilty Gear, Fatal Fury, Street Fighter 6, Tekken one. So I have some homework to do still,
Yeah.
but it's an embarrassment of riches. The The only thing with Evo this year is I felt it was a lot more corporate than it has been. A lot of advertisements, a lot of
Yeah.
sponsored segments. So that was kind of dragging it down. So
I mean,
when you,
Sony owns it now, and
yeah,
there's probably a mandate for it to make money. And I bet the people who actually like do the running of Evo will do their best to find the balance there. But I mean, you know how that goes. The corporate overlord comes in and it's like, hey, well, look at this budget here. Let's try to make some money on the other side. And then on the other side of that, the reality is there's probably some demand to speak to that fighting game audience, right? There was a couple years ago
yeah,
where I think a lot of publishers would have been like, look, we're not even going to try to figure out fighting games. And now fighting games are really hot again. It's not like it's the world-beating genre that it once was in the 90s or whatever, but it's grown. And right now in this moment, they're like, oh, you can make money making fighting games and speaking to this audience, and this is the one place where we know they'll all be watching. So yeah, I think it kind of matches up in that way. Hopefully, it doesn't like sully it to the point where Evo becomes unrecognizable. Is that a concern? Do you think, or is it just like it's not as much as not as from the ground up as it once felt?
yeah. I mean, it definitely doesn't have the same grassroots origin that I feel like it did back in the early 2000s, the Battle of the Bay era. But like, um, it is a different feel. I don't know the in-arena experience this year versus past years. I've actually never been, and I do want to go, but so I don't know if they were getting the same Chipotle ads we were getting every single segment. But I mean, Evo is that big stage. There's a lot of money riding on it. Like Fatal Fury and Street Fighter, I think had like each like at least like $1.5 million. I said $1 million in there, and I mean, Evo is backing other tournaments that were struggling, like CEO. They with the tariff stuff, they were having a hard time selling T-shirts, which was like one of the biggest incomes for that tournament. So there is good in the commercializing of it, but yeah, it does feel like a little bit is lost, and it kind of just kills the pacing from going game to game to game. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that makes sense. Either way, it sounds like people were enjoying Evo this weekend, and I'm glad people were able to get in there, watch some good fighting games happen. Let's
okay,
explain ourselves. This is Giant Bomb. We're a small team of video game doofuses who rely on your support to make a lot of cool stuff, like this show, like Blight Club, like UPF, all the fun stuff we do here. It also enables us to do the big stuff, like Summer Game Fest and anytime we do anything to get together for Game of the Year. Your support enables that. So you go to giantbomb.com/join, and you too can become a supporter by becoming a premium member. It goes a long way toward getting that stuff done. Gets you ad-free shows as well as some other extras and goodies. That's giantbomb.com/join. As far as this show goes, most weekdays, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings, or find the RSS feed on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Darksiders 4 continues the original game story after 15 years. This is from Blair Marnell at GameSpot. When Darksiders hit consoles in 2010, it left gamers with the tantalizing cliffhanger of the protagonist, War, ready to fight the forces of heaven, hell, and the council. Now, after 15 years, the ending of the original game is finally revisited in the first teaser for Darksiders 4. The announcement video recalls Darksiders' closing moments as War is joined by his fellow horsemen of the apocalypse, Death, Fury, and Strife. The sequel was officially unveiled today during THQ Nordic's online preview event. That happened late last week or something like that. The publisher confirmed that Darksiders 4 will continue the story directly after the first game and allow up to 4 players to ride together as the 4 horsemen through co-op. This is a long time coming. I guess a little surprising that they actually eventually did get here. They've done other Darksiders sequels. In fact, they've done 3, each starring a different, like, one of these the horsemen. I think there was 2, 3, and then there was Genesis, which starred, I can't remember who that starred. Strife, maybe. But okay, so now they've all had their own game. That does kind of make sense. It's just weird to think, oh, this Darksiders franchise has always been kind of a sleeper hit. It's been successful, but it also feels like one of those ones that if it went away, I wouldn't be surprised at all. And yet it's still here, and they're following up like storytelling trails that they put in place 15 years ago. I'm kind of excited about this. This is pretty neat. Well, how are you feeling about it?
Pretty excited about it too. Truth be told, I kind of fell off a little bit after Darksiders 2 came out. I
Yeah.
think there was a big gap of time. I think it was like 2019 or something, or was it earlier? I don't remember, but I remember that having a rocky launch 3.
That sounds
I
right. God, yeah, but it's been a minute for sure.
Yeah, I haven't played Genesis. Maybe I should go into that, but this seems like it is kind of returning to that, like back in the PS3 days, like that God of War Zelda hybrid, or at least is doing a far more cinematic like action game with friends. That gets me very excited about something like this.
Yeah, I think they've also done a good job at kind of keeping the genres varied from game to game while still
Yeah.
maintaining a lot of that the Darksiders elements. I do wonder. It's like, okay, so this is going to be another Darksiders games, but it's going to support 4-player co-op. That's really interesting. I want to see how they're going to make that happen. But yes, Darksiders 4 will return to the franchise's third-person perspective, and THQ Nordic states that it will have cinematic action that is fast-paced and visceral. Oh, good. With melee and supernatural abilities at players' disposal. Mentioning there that they're going back to third person. That means like
Yeah.
behind the back camera perspective, where Genesis, I think, was top down. They kind of, at that time, I was like, oh, this is cool. They're finding ways to keep Darksiders going while doing what I'm assuming is a style of play that saves them money. And now that they've been able to figure that out, they're like, okay, now we can come back with the big return of the series with Darksiders 4, culminate in the storytelling that we've been doing all this time, and get back to the roots of how the game plays, and then also have 4-player co-op. I don't know. It just seems like a cool thing to come out of a tier of game publishing and game development, John, that we always lament is doesn't exist, or is
Right.
deeply underrepresented in gaming, which is these mid-sized B-tier games. Darksiders has always been that, and it's always been one of the better ones. This
Yeah.
this give you hope that, like, somewhere along the lines we're figuring this sort of thing out, or is Darksiders the exception that maybe proves the rule?
Um, I think it does give credence to it. The fact that they were willing to change up the formula, um, even if some people were kind of like ostracized based on that, they've always seemed to find an audience. I think it is evident that if you have a very specific tone or you set the stage, keep things similar but different, and you kind of go back to what a lot of people are asking for, I think that's going to be huge. Um, I think it really does, yeah, just focus on like if you have a vision for this, if it is crazy enough, I think it will work. We just need a lot more people to take chances on games like Darksiders. I think it's super cool that it's back.
Yep. Of course, this is all under Embracer. THQ Nordic is part of
Sure. Yeah.
Embracer, and it's like there was a moment there where I was thinking all of those things, all those franchises that they acquired, nothing's going to happen with any of that anymore. It does feel like coming out of this THQ Nordic Digital Showcase 2025 that THQ Nordic at least has kind of figured out its role under all of that while being able to like survive the deepest cuts of that company. THQ Nordic was hit just like everyone else with layoffs and all that. But that resulted in a lot of like projects being canceled or Embracer trying to work with outside companies like Amazon to fund the game development, like they were doing with Tomb Raider. I think that was happening there for a bit. It was all weird, and I thought that weirdness was going to extend to every aspect of Embracer. But THQ Nordic seems to have like figured some stuff out. Not that things are all sunshine and rainbows under Embracer, but they had a lineup of games. This is everything announced at THQ Nordic Digital Showcase 2025 from George Foster at The Gamer. John, the reality is I'm looking at a lot of these titles, and a lot of them don't do anything for me. I don't even
Yeah.
recognize some of them, even though they've been around. There are a couple of highlights I'll call out, and if there's anything that you want to call out, feel free to do so as well. I guess one of the bigger ones actually is they're doing another SpongeBob game after they brought back Bikini Bottom, and that did really well for them. They did a sequel to that was received with a lukewarm like reviews
Sure.
and
Yeah.
appreciation from the fans. They did that Patrick Star game that I thought was a pretty decent like goat simulator like. Uh,
Yeah.
and now they're doing
That
this
game is
one.
weird.
It was weird. But it's just like you basically just throw Patrick Star around the world and he just interacts with things. It's a weird game and I like it actually. SpongeBob SquarePants Titan of the Tide finally gets a reveal after many leaks. SpongeBob's next game has finally been officially announced and is releasing on November 18th. That's out this year. So unlike Cosmic Shake, Patrick is actually playable in this one. Props to David Hasselhoff. Also, he showed
Yeah.
up in the trailer, so
That's
that was pretty fun.
crazy.
Yes, like he was
What?
in the movie, right?
Right.
Did he pop up in the show randomly, or was he only ever in the movie? I don't know. I've only
They got a
here's
lot.
how I watch SpongeBob.
Yeah.
It's playing on the DVD player in the back of the minivan, so I always just hear it. I don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not up to date on current SpongeBob, I guess.
Sure.
I I don't know if he ever went in the show. I know they got Bowie, they got a lot of different like crazy
Right.
guest stars, but yeah, I don't think Hasselhoff has been like in the project since like the movie, yeah, which
Okay.
is
People are
like
saying he was in two movies. All right. Well, there you go.
was he oh, was he in the second one
I
or
don't
the
know. There's like a
third
bunch of
one?
different
Yeah.
movies now. There's the first movie he was obviously in that. I remember that joke, like being a big part of it. I guess he's been in another one. Fair enough. Okay, Recreation, which is a follow up to Wreckfest, but it has an open world, and so people are like, yeah, it's like Wreckfest meets Forza, which sounds great to me. I honestly, I think more of the car genre should try to take on Forza Horizon and see if they can make that work for themselves. And Wreckfest feels perfect for that because it has all that interesting modeling of damage and being able to have that play out in an open world. I think that could be really fun. So this is one that I feel like we've heard about this one before, but they gave us a little bit more on it, and yeah, I'm excited to see it. Let's see. Tides of Tomorrow, Sacred to the Eternal Life of Goldman. Actually, that one looked pretty good. This is one we've
That
seen before
trailer.
as well. Yeah, it looks pretty cute, right? Like it's got really nice stylings to its visuals. Where I think you kind of play as an old man. It's a cinematic platformer. That's the best way of
Yeah.
explaining it. But what stood out to you about it?
So that trailer, like, I think I don't know if we got the wrong impression because it showed up in like directs and like Nintendo Directs, maybe like a Game Awards, but the trailer they point out, like I saw it was coming out. I was watching Evo on Friday, so didn't get a chance to check it until like like this morning. There's a weirdly sinister vibe to the trailer that really is getting me even more intrigued. Like, I thought it was just a very pretty cinematic platformer with like DuckTales esque platforming and like cane customization. Um, it looks like they're going for something with this, and I implore a lot of people to just check out that trailer because it kind of came out of left field. There's like this weird like dark maternal figure, and there's some child in the mix. I have no idea where they're going this one, but it seems very interesting, and yeah, 100% on board.
And it's got the like the visual storytelling chops, I think, to pull off
Yeah.
whatever they want to go for. So if they are holding some stuff back to kind of wall up us when we finally play the game, I think they're going to be able to pull it off. I'm curious to see which direction it goes. Titan Quest 2 is in early access right now. The Guild Europa 1410 has been revealed. Gothic remake is coming in early 2026. People have always been clamoring for the Gothic remake. Now here it is. Reanimal. I'm going to say it that way. It gets a release window. It's coming out in Q1 2026. I mean, like a lot of games that are like, oh yeah, I guess I kind of remember them showing that before. Not all high on my radar. And then Fate Keeper looks like Skyrim, but with telekinesis powers or telekinetic powers, I should say. Anything else from this showcase stick out to you or grab your attention?
Grub, I saw a couple of things that looked interesting. Ties of Tomorrow looks very pretty, and I'm curious because I really thought it was all about that crazy multiplayer gimmick to it. But and recreation seems like it's going to be a lot of fun. Like vehicular
Yes,
destruction is
that looks
always
good.
very fun to mess around with. But yeah, I mean, besides the ones we kind of talked about in length, like I'm sure I'll get my kid cousins the SpongeBob games. Those games, those platformers are always kind of like hidden gems. I feel like
Yeah.
ever since the GameCube days. But yeah, like not a lot of stuff I'm looking into. Fate Keeper seems interesting, and I didn't get a chance to check that out. But yeah, um, I don't really have much to say. It's cool. Darksiders back.
Right.
Um, yeah,
It's yeah, I think overall it's just like, oh yeah, THQ Nordic has a lot of games that they're working on, and
yeah,
that's encouraging at the very least. I'm glad
yeah.
that it wasn't. I'm glad it didn't get to the point where it's like even THQ Nordic was like, we had 12 games and now we're just making two, and it's SpongeBob and like one other thing. Enjoy that. It's like, no, we're making Darksiders 4, and that, yeah, the SpongeBob game is new and looks pretty promising. And here's a bunch of other stuff that could be any number of degrees of quality when we finally get them. But at least it finally or it does feel still like they're mostly going for it. Doesn't feel like they're phoning all these games in. They're trying to make something that can do well and succeed. And yeah, like I said, that's encouraging.
They're called THQ for a reason.
The toy headquarter is back at it, everybody. All right, the full list of all price increases for Nintendo Switch and everything else is here. We talked a little bit about this on Friday. The shocking announcement that Nintendo was going to raise the price on the original Switch, as well as a bunch of other accessories and even amiibo. This is from Nintendo Everything. Let's go through, like, we have the detailed numbers now. We had some stuff leaked from Target, but now here's everything. So in the United States, the Switch OLED is $400. It was $350. The standard Switch was $300. It's now $340. Switch Lite was $200. It is now $230. Joy-Con, this is the original Joy-Con, were $80. They are now $90. The Pro controller was $70. It is now $80. The NES controller pack was $60. It's now $70. N64 controller went from $50 to $55, and the Super Nintendo controller went from $30 to $35. Now, some accessories for the Switch 2 also went up in price. The Joy-Con charging stand went from $30 to $35. The Pro controller went from $85 to $90, and the Joy-Con 2 set went from $95 to $100. And then the dock set went from $120 to $125. It's basically $225 if you need to replace your Joy-Con and your dock. So if you go get, hey, Switch 2 only on Craigslist, all I have is just the Switch 2 and maybe the charger. You go get that, you're gonna have to spend $225 to complete your set now. The Amiibo looks okay. $16 Legacy Amiibo. I don't know what that means, and frankly, John, I don't care to learn. It's
Okay.
it's $20 now. Two pack Amiibo went from 35 or no, they were 30, and it's going to be 35 or 40 depending on which one. So some are
Yeah.
35 and some are 40. And then finally, and I know this is going to be the most devastating for people, the Nintendo Sound Clock Alarmo was $100. It is now $110. There's also price increases in Canada. I'll get this. I'll get to some of those, I guess. Let's just go do those real quick. Switch OLED is 490 after being 450. Let's see. The Nintendo Switch Online went up in price. The 1 month for an individual went up by $1 from $5 to $6. The 12-month expansion pack family version is $110. It was $100. And then finally, their amiibo also went up in price to like $30 and $23, depending on how many amiibo are in the pack. Okay, so yeah, I mean, we a lot of these accessories previously got a price increase from when they were first
Right.
announced at the Switch 2, and then the tariffs happened that day, and then the prices for all those accessories went up, and then they're like, well, we're not going to raise the price of the Switch 2. They did it again, so the Switch 2 console still has not gone up in price, but everything else has. And really, I mean, it's the same story, John. Right? It's we know it's the market conditions, tariffs. They can get away with it. All the things we always say about these things are true here. So what else do we say other than, man, it kind of sucks. It just sucks that this is the situation that we're in. And if you want to engage in this hobby, sometimes it feels like you don't have a choice but to just take these price increases and just say thank you very much. How are you feeling about it?
Pretty rough overall. It's kind of a crazy circumstance that like the OLED is only $50 cheaper than the Switch 2. Um,
Yeah,
for a
it's
company
weird.
that was yeah, it's super weird. For a company that was really touting like, oh, this is like our most successful console of all time, pretty much is like, well, are you gonna cut the momentum short by doing this, or are you just trying to get people on Switch 2 faster? There's a lot of people who at this point, it's just like you're looking at $400 and you might as well just like save up a little bit more, spend it on a Switch 2 for 450 without Mario Kart, of course. I honestly don't even know what you're going to do with the rest of the stock of the standard Switch. Like you going to need a bundle Mario Kart 8 and something else at this point. I mean, maybe include a free voucher or something, but yeah, it's just rough overall. Not to mention, like, people who are fine staying on Switch 1, their Joy-Cons are out of warranty, so you're gonna need to buy new Joy-Cons. Like, there is, I think, only a 2-year warranty on those things, and, um, like, yeah, it just sucks, man. It's not
Yep.
a great time.
Jamie H in chat is asking, like, isn't most of the stock already inside of the United States, meaning it wouldn't have to be subject to any tariffs? Some is, but no, they're still manufacturing the Switch One. They're still making the
Yeah,
Switch One. So, and they try to keep a taut supply chain. So it's not like they're sitting in warehouses in the United States. That's for sure. They are not doing that. They're not like making so many Switch Ones and like let's just store them up in the United States. Or if they did that, they did it a little bit when the tariffs were at a certain level of uncertainty. That is not a normal thing. That costs money. That's just a waste. They don't want to do
yeah,
that. So no, there's not a ton of those just sitting around. But also, I mean, John's point, John, you're right. Like the who's really in the market for one of these things, especially at an increased price. I guess they will sell, I suppose, especially that
yeah,
Pokemon game is going to be for Switch One and Switch Two this holiday, and there's going to be a certain number of people who will just get a Switch One to play that Pokemon game, even though that's an insane thing to do because I'm sure it's going to run like crap on that. But they
yeah,
will. So they're going to sell a certain number of these. But I have to look at it and assume that a certain part of it is this helps them continue to step up prices everywhere else and make everyone okay with those Switch 2 price,
mhm,
even though it was already pretty okay. I mean, we are going to go into this holiday. We were saying like, okay, the Switch 2 passed the first test at launch, which is, hey, is this price going to hold it back at all for people who are super dedicated to Nintendo products? And the answer was, as we all knew it would be, obviously no. That price, we are all like many of us here did pay it. We got it. We obviously are okay with that price if we bought the product at that price. We can argue that and we could still yell at the company and say this is too expensive. But fair enough, it passed that test. The second test was going to be this holiday where okay, is the slightly more casual audience, the family that wants to get a Switch 2 for their kids, are they going to accept the price? This does help with the storytelling of that, though, where it's like, the Switch One is it's right there. It's like I guess I don't remember it being that expensive, but I might as well just get a Switch Two for a little bit more. That seems like a
Yeah.
fair deal. Um, I think it just the frustrating thing here, John, is we know once the prices go down for them, they won't necessarily go back down for us overall. Maybe a few of these products will. The Switch One maybe may get a decrease in the future if that makes sense. What's more likely to happen at this point is they'll just stop selling the Switch One before the prices go back down, though. So this is another essentially another permanent increase, and that step up of, hey, get used to this price for this product. That means the next product that is more powerful could be this price. I expect them to keep using that strategy to get us higher and higher as they introduce Switch 2 variants, right? The
Yeah.
Switch 2 variant is not going to like replace the Switch 2 standard, and be like, and then the Switch 2 standard is going to go down in price. We're just going to keep going higher and higher, right?
Yeah. That I mean, even like a Switch to Lite kind of seems like it's like kind of an uncertainty where they would even
Right.
position that, where you would price that.
Yeah, good
We
point.
immediately already have like a bundle with Pokemon, and I'm sure, yeah, a lot of people are just going to settle on that Switch One version of Legends EA. So it's kind of a matter of time to see like if this even works out. But unfortunately, I feel like kind of the pricing FOMO of like, well, they raised the price on all of this stuff. Like, surely the Switch Two will go up in price sooner or later. Which I mean, it could. Like, there's a non-zero chance. Yeah, it's just frustrating overall.
Yeah.
It's hard, and it's hard to be frustrated at just one party in particular. Like, it's kind of a mix of like, yeah, like kind of the world's economic like situation is rapidly changing, and like a company is trying to adapt, but also seeing what they can get away with. So we'll see how the sales work out this holiday, but uh, Jeff, I'm not too hopeful about a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, me neither. And you just mentioning the Switch 2 Lite, which is something I think we can safely assume something along those lines will happen. And it's like, man, if I'm them and I'm trying to be as cynical as possible here, while keeping in mind all the market realities, I think what they do is they release a Switch Lite or Switch 2 Lite at 450. There is no longer a $450 standard Switch 2, and you can only get the standard Switch 2 with a bundle at 500. So it's like they kind of, or they just straight up raise the price of the Switch 2, which is also feels like that's on the table and a little inevitable. And people, a lot of people I've seen in chat over the last couple of weeks, as we discussed various different price increases, and then more specifically in the last couple of days with the Switch 2 and Switch accessory price updates. People are saying, yeah, one of the reasons I got my Switch 2 so early is because I'm worried about the price going up. And so that's already in people's heads. And that's the companies have us right where they want us, acting urgently to spend money to buy their products because we're afraid they might go even higher. And that's how bad we want them. That we don't want to, or we want to avoid that, but we want to, yeah, get around all this stuff. All right, price increases kind of across the board for everything except for the Switch 2 consoles. We'll see if that comes about at any point in the future. And we'll keep track of the story as it goes forward. Let's take a break. We got plenty more headlines to get into. If you want to skip this, you can always go to giantbomb.com/join, get the ad-free version of the show. In the meantime, though, we'll be right back after this. This episode of Giant Bomb is brought to you by giantbomb.com/join. Join us there, become a member. It helps us make fun stuff. It gets you ad-free content. It also helps us make some extras here and there that we'll give exclusively to you as members. It's giantbomb.com/join for $10 a month or $100 a year, where you save $20. You can support us in making all the cool stuff that we make over here at Giant Bomb. Once again, that's giantbomb.com/join. Become a member now. We're back. It's Game Best Mornings. That's Jon Martin. I'm Jeff Grubb. We're going to get back into the headlines. Let's do it with Bioshock 4's leadership replaced as 2K insists it's committed to delivering a great game. This is from Andy Robinson at VGC. Take-Two has replaced the leadership behind the next Bioshock game after it reportedly failed an internal development review. In a statement, a spokesperson for the publisher confirmed Cloud Chamber studio head Kelly Gilmore has left their role, while creative director Hogarth de la Plante has moved to a publishing position. Plant was involved in the original Bioshock game across multiple disciplines, including level design, art, and programming. According to Bloomberg, the leadership changes followed a recent failed review by executives at 2K Games, the publishing arm of Take Two. Bioshock 4's narrative was identified as an area that was particularly in need of improvement and will be revamped, it's claimed. Man, how bad could the story be that that's what happened here? According to Bloomberg sources, 2K also canceled plans for a remake of the original Bioshock game earlier this year. In a recent all hands meeting, Cloud Chamber developers were reportedly told that the company needs to become more agile and efficient, leading some to fear that layoffs could follow. I mean, God, those are what those words mean, right, John? When you hear agile and efficient from executives at an all hands meeting, you're like, oh, well, that's just them saying they're going to cut some jobs. Um, yeah, what's your take on this? What's your read on this? Because I'm just like, man, Bioshock 4 is a game that I barely ever think about, and then it's like, oh yeah, that's real, that's happening, and it's been in development for 10 years. They've been making that
Yeah.
game for 10 years in one form or another. Of course, probably those first couple of years were, pre-production, whatever that looked like. But no, it's been in development. They've been making it for 10 years. Man, I remember thinking at the time with Bioshock Infinite that was taking a long time. And
Yeah.
games, they could sell all right, but that game was going to sell so well to justify that long development period. And it just didn't, which is one of the reasons that there was this weird fallout from Bioshock Infinite with Ken Levine going on and doing something slightly different and then figuring out another team to start making Bioshock 4. And here we are again. And it's even worse this time in terms of the amount of time it's taken to get this game completed. Yeah, what's your read here?
It's interesting, right? Because like when you think about Take Two and you think about some of their big franchises, the ones that are come close to mind are just like, well, you got the sports games, and Bioshock is one of those prestige games. So like, um, it is an unfortunate place to be in, but like, I mean, those remastered games still sell. I still see them on the charts of PlayStation, Steam, and Switch, and everywhere. Yeah, do you think it's because Ken Levine left? I mean, we also haven't seen Judas in a hot minute either. I don't know if it was like a toxic relation sort of situation and they broke up, but then they're just
I think that was
not
that
doing.
was a little. I think it was a little bit of a we can't trust you to lead a big team again sort of thing. But
Yeah.
that's just my guess.
Okay.
Um, I really I don't know. Now I haven't looked into it too much. I've never been a huge Bioshock guy, so I was always just kind of like, yeah, you guys tell me what's going on over there. And Jason did exactly that. Okay, this narrative aspect. What do you think is happening? Okay, here's what I think is happening. Uh,
Sure.
the executives think the game is too woke. I think that's
Really?
I legit think that's what happened here, is that
Huh.
they think, yeah, it's too woke, that the game is not in line with the current best practices of executives, which is bowing down to Donald Trump. And the game, I bet, criticizes
Oh
figures that are
man.
similar to him. And they don't. I think that's what happened. And they're like, look, you're not GTA. You're Bioshock. GTA gets to do that. You don't.
Right.
That's look. I'm completely guessing here, but sounds right to me. What do you think?
I honestly think that actually is a pretty good idea. I mean, a lot of those games were just looking at how capitalism kind of ruins a society multiple times
Yeah.
over. How we're going to exploit the working class and kind of destroy stuff. I think you're probably onto something there. And it is narrative, right? Like I feel like so much of the gameplay is probably set in stone and maybe has been for a while, but like you need to like fine tune it to meet what the story is and kind of like shape things around that. Um yeah, I don't know. I'm also not the biggest BioShock guy, but just from what I have played in one and infinite, I think that actually is a pretty good call.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I just can't imagine what else it could be. Like let's do our best. Like what else could be wrong with the narrative? I mean, I guess the opposite where it's like why do you have so many like racist jokes in here? Like, but I don't think
Oh
that's what it
god.
is. Like that doesn't people making games these days, especially you're going to go work on a BioShock game. You're probably like, I'm going to go use this power of this narrative to criticize some strongly held ideals by society. Like that's the power of that gives you the ability to do exactly that. So I think just naturally it would go toward being too woke in the eyes of the executives. But I don't know. Do you have any other
Yeah.
ideas what it could be in terms of a narrative issue that they are so unhappy with that the game failed its check?
I mean, it could be something along the line of like leadership kind of failing a population, and it did get a bit too meta for the execs
Sure.
there, and like getting caught with like egg on their face. And I mean, it's crazy. It's been 10 years. Like I feel like those remasters kind of just like kept it in the public consciousness, but I had no idea it was like actually that long.
Yeah, it's
But
been a while.
yeah,
I guess yeah, like Bioshock Infinite for people that did not pay attention to the discourse that happened with that game over time, deeply criticized for doing the both sides thing of,
mm,
oh, all the authoritarian person is bad, but so are the people fighting back against him, and so who can you really trust? And that criticism has been so ingrained in the story of Bioshock Infinite that my assumption for Bioshock 4 has always been this will be a response to that. That Bioshock 4's story and narrative will respond to that and take a stronger stance. And maybe that's exactly the problem that 2K leadership has with it. I don't know. We'll see this game eventually. If it's at this point where everything else is
hopefully,
done and they just have a problem with the story, they're gonna have to release this, right?
yeah, hopefully, like, you would hope so. That's
You would
a
hope
big
so.
franchise. Yeah.
So a weird thing, but that and I guess Judas from Ken Levine is supposed to be out next year. So maybe
Oh,
both of those launch in 2026. We'll see.
yeah. Sure. Yeah, that could happen.
Yeah, whatever you say, Ken. Uh, all right, let's keep going here. We have a rundown of Evo news. I did have some stories here, but you know what? Let's go to this GameSpot story. Evo 2025, everything announced at the annual 3-day fighting game fest. This is from Jason Finelli. A
Never heard of him.
weekend of World Warriors in Vegas. The Super Bowl of fighting games has once again left its mark on Las Vegas as Evo 2025 saw over 13,000 unique entrants make their way to the Las Vegas Convention Center for 3 days of furious fisticuffs. Along with the competition, however, came multiple reveals for multiple current and upcoming fighting games, including new characters, fresh new gameplay footage, and more. Capcom, Arc System Works, and Skybound were among those who dropped new information during EVO's grand finals day on Sunday, while SNK Shadow dropped its next big update in front of the unsuspecting EVO crowd. Next up for EVO, meanwhile, is EVO France in Nice from October 10th through the 12th, while EVO Vegas was confirmed to return June 26th through the 28th in 2026. Yeah, put it closer to Summer Game Fest. That'll make it easier for me to go. You bastards. All right.
Yeah.
Let's hit it. Some of this stuff we talked about it like Friday, and we might have mentioned this because this got announced early on. Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection adds Mortal Kombat Trilogy. That was cool to see. Virtua Fighter 5 Revo World Stage. The recent Virtua Fighter 5 Revo will take to the world stage as it's set to be ported to Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, and Nintendo Switch 2. While the Switch 2 release date is not yet set in stone, the others are coming October 30th. They did show footage of the new
Yeah.
Virtua Fighter project, which I thought looked really good.
It's super promising,
Yeah, right.
especially when Virtua Fighter has been on ice, and by ice, I mean basically just only in Yakuza games for the greater part of a decade. It honestly looks incredible. I'm super excited to see how, Jackie, looks when that game actually does come out. But yeah, just I don't know. There's just something about seeing just pure like martial arts like from across the world that's just super satisfying, and I think Virtua Fighter has always nailed that. What's what's your take on the story mode? Because I know a big part of Virtua Fighter 5, this new version of Virtua Fighter, was focusing on maybe having a bit more story to it to kind of get people connected to the game in a way that I feel like a Street Fighter or a Tekken hasn't like done with the recent releases.
Yeah, I mean, so this is RGG, right? That's doing this.
Right.
And they have the chops to pull something like that off. I don't know. I'm not gonna like put that on this game where like the game needs to have that
Sure.
for it to justify itself to me. No, Virtua Fighter can just still be Virtua Fighter. That would be fine. And if they have a story mode that is lackluster, whatever. I would never hold a lackluster story mode against a fighting game. That to me that's silly. But it could help, and I think that they
Yeah.
could do something. I think they could do something that the other studios working in this space would really, really struggle to do. And so why not take advantage of your capabilities as a studio? That's how I would feel about it. And then
Yeah,
I think the answer to that question would be the reason why you don't do it is it costs a lot of extra money, and is that juice worth the
sure.
squeeze? We just don't know because no one's really ever borne it out before, but we'll see. Hunter x Hunter Nexen Impact Season Pass, the 3v3 tag fighter starring characters from the popular Hunter x Hunter anime franchise, unveiled its first season pass during the finals of its side tournament. Neferpito will be the first character added to its roster. There's people out there that understand that. Under Night in Birth 2, Sis Celeste adds Inzumi. Man, they just keep adding words to names sometimes.
There's a lot of
Uh,
letters, yeah.
Yep. Uh-huh. Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising EX characters. There's new characters there. Invincible versus showed off Omni Man, and it looked pretty gruesome. The way that comic is gruesome and the show is gruesome. So,
Yeah,
yep, looked pretty cool. Marvel Tokon closed beta has been announced. That is
yeah.
starting on, let's see here, September 5th through the 7th. And that'll be the closed beta test. Players who sign up for the PlayStation beta program on the PlayStation website will be eligible to join the beta, though access to signups is not guaranteed. I should go do that as soon as we're done here.
Yeah.
This was the game that like really was kind of continued to pop off all weekend. Every time anyone showed it off anywhere, it looks astounding. I think it looks really good. What are your feelings on Tokan?
It looks pretty incredible. And it kind of is carving its own niche. Like, I mean, when
Yeah,
you find out it's going to be a 4v4 game, your mind immediately goes to what is Marvel versus Capcom? What did Dragon Ball Fighters do? But it really is a unique spin on the
it's
tag
doing its own
fighter.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah, I think there's, like, a similar King of Fighters game back in the day that did something similar, but this is just so flashy, and I think it's going to break down a lot of doors in the way that Dragon Ball Fighters kind of opened the fighting game landscape to, just because it's a big IP like Marvel, but also because you have those auto combos and you have those simple to learn mechanics to, really get people excited. This was probably the most exciting thing I think we saw, just tons of gameplay out there. If you're hesitant to start a fighting game, I think this is a great shot to see if you are interested.
yeah. And it looks really good. It looks like I see echoes of, was it Marvel versus Capcom 3 or Infinite 3, and it's like, no, this is like take that, really amp up the style, and all
Yeah.
of like sort of the sanded off edges that were in those later Marvel vs. Capcom games. Replace that with just even more style, and I'm into what Arc System Works is doing with this game so far. Although tag fighters have always been kind of too hectic for me, this one, like you said, doing its own thing.
Yeah.
I think I can wrap my head around this one a little bit better. We'll see. Guilty Gear Strive adds Lucy from Cyberpunk Edge Runners. That's a
Yeah,
wild
there's a
one,
good
but
trailer.
yeah, but it's a good trailer. Pretty interesting to see. Guilty Gear Strive 2.0 is coming in 2026. Ken Masters is joining Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. While we knew that Ken Masters from Street Fighter was heading to Fatal Fury City of the Wolves at some point, we didn't know exactly when that would happen. SNK not only made the announcement, it shadow dropped the Shotokan. Shotokan? Yeah, Shotokan. Ken is available in Fatal Fury now. I haven't really played that game all that much, and I heard it plays all right, but I just got bummed out by all the weird Saudi Arabianness of it all when it
Yeah.
launched. But I like Ken a lot. I kind of like want to play every game that has Ken in it, so I'll probably go check this out. Kind of can't help myself. But that was interesting to see. But this game is one of those ones where it's like, oh, it clearly did not work the way that SNK was hoping it would. Did you notice any change in the vibe around this game over the weekend, or is it kind of where it was?
I think it is kind of where it was. It is Fatal Fury has always been like somewhat a much more smaller franchise compared to even just King of Fighters proper. Um, I think people who watched it, myself included, I had not kept up with how this game looks because again, like I was, those first two betas were kind of discouraging, and then yeah, like the Ronaldo and Salvador Ganacci stuff versus like actual Fatal Fury characters not being in the base roster did sour me really heavy. But I mean, people were excited for that, but I think it will be. both a game that has a core dedicated audience, but also be something in the future people look back on and be like, oh, yeah, that actually does have a lot of cool mechanical depth to it. Some characters look really cool, like Ken, like Chun Li, and we'll see where it goes. But yeah, I don't think there was really a mood shift. But, there's always some Terry Bogard diehards out there, and I respect them because he's a cool guy.
Yep. And if people are wondering why, like, well, exactly my issues with the game, Ronaldo was definitely in some of the pools in Vegas. So just Google
Yeah.
Ronaldo Vegas charges, and you'll get my reasons for
Hmm.
being, yeah,
Yeah, it was a
exactly.
crazy weekend. Yeah,
Crazy weekend. Yes, exactly. He's a charge character, you see. So yeah, that's
of
that's what
course.
it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
All right, and then finally, Street Fighter 6 reveals new swimsuit costume and teases Sea Viper. The final two reveals of EVO 2025 came from Capcom, who not only teased its next roster member, Sea Viper,
Yeah.
who looks amazing, but also revealed new summer-themed costumes for 7 current fighters. They're all
Yeah.
in, they're all in bikinis and less. Keen-eyed Street Fighter fans may recognize Chun-Li's and Cammy's swimsuit off outfits from a classic piece of Street Fighter art drawn by Kunio Nishimura during the Super Street Fighter 2 era. Yeah, there's this like classic poster of all the characters at the beach. And yes, Chun Li's and Cammy's outfits are from that, including that's where Cammy's like insane tan lines comes from. It's from
Yeah.
that art. It's man, it's buck wild to see that. It's definitely one of those things where I will never forget seeing Street Fighter on ESPN and
Yeah.
one fight I think it was Mika, Armika, as
Yeah,
she
Armika.
yeah, she was like in her like
Oh, her
skippiest outfit for one
super.
fight, and then they came back from break and was in like the least revealing outfit after that. And I'm like, I know what happened. The producers are like, "What are you doing? You have to put more clothes on this character," and that's exactly what happened. So yeah, of course, Street Fighter. All these games lean into this. They're gonna keep doing it. Swimsuit outfits for every fighting game character. What do you think of Sea Viper?
Sea Viper looks really cool. Yeah, I mean, she's got that diamond, but honestly, it's a character that I've been always interested in checking out again. I mean, she hasn't been in a game since, or at least playable since, like, I think Marvel 3, which is kind of crazy because that game is coming up on like almost 25 years old next year. It might have been 2012 for Ultimate, but yeah, I mean, she looks really cool. Obviously, we didn't get to see a lot of gameplay because she's a lot further out. I think in autumn, Sagat coming out, I think tomorrow. But I honestly think she's a really cool get. She adds depth to the world tour mode. I'm getting really I've been really into the world tour mode, just learning about the characters, learning the lore, just exploring an open world. It's been kind of a perfect like Switch 2 game for me, just like sitting down like end of the night. But yeah, I think she looks really cool. They continuously just redefine characters and make them look brand spanking new. It's super cool to see.
Yep, yeah, I think they do a pretty good job of mixing in characters and bringing them back and like giving them time off, giving us a chance to miss them. I know a big part of that is they need to focus on a handful of characters to make the game good in
Right.
the first place, and they can add stuff, and so stuff just gets left off for that reason. But I think just the byproduct of being like, oh yeah, Sea Viper's back, so a Street Fighter 4 standout, but it's like, oh,
Yeah.
for when you come out with Street Fighter 6, I want to see this character, this character. Sea Viper is probably on that list, but maybe not super high for some people. And now I think the demand is there. And it's like, yeah, definitely bring her back. Let's see it. And then she looked great. So very cool to see. All right, let's get to the rest of the headlines. Nintendo wants to know your thoughts on its divisive game key cards. This is from Darren Bonthus at GameSpot. And if this story sounds familiar to people who listen every day, they did a survey in Japan. Now that survey question or a form of it has gone worldwide. A new survey by Nintendo has gone live as the company wants to know what its users think of physical and digital game ownership. While there are a few general questions mixed into it, the survey primarily focuses on which format customers prefer when purchasing games for the Switch 2. There are various questions asked in this survey on this topic, specifically asking which factors determine if a digital game will be purchased instead of a physical one. While users can respond with multiple replies like physical games provide a stronger sense of ownership or I like collecting physical games when pressed for answers. Game keycards have been controversial since they were introduced, as the vast majority of Switch 2 games have adopted this new medium for physical release, In essence, they're key authentication cartridges that will still require you to download the full game. Everyone knows how they work here. Um,
Yeah.
there was. I'm trying to remember. Were one of these games that we talked about announced for? I know a game just got
Yes.
announced, John. What was it? It was like
Well,
$50 on. Was it Mortal Kombat Macau?
it was the Mortal Kombat collection. Yeah, Atari and Digital Eclipse announced that it is going to be fully on card, which is amazing.
But it's
Um,
also $10 more on the Switch 2 than on a PlayStation and Xbox. So I think it's 50 on those and it's 60 on Switch 2. But it's all
oh,
going to
I
be
didn't
fully on the
realize.
card. But I mean,
I guess that's a good comp. Yeah, it's a good
right.
compromise for
It's the
putting
compromise of
everything
like,
there.
okay, you are using a more expensive medium. I get it. I mean, is this the compromise people will be okay with? Is it like it actually is gonna be like the N64 days where the cartridge is more expensive and now the cards are more expensive here?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
I think so. And it's weird, right? Like I think people who are physical collectors, like myself for the most part, like Switch 2 was kind of sadly is becoming the beginning of the end of that. There are still games I'm picking up. I'm gonna pick up Mortal Kombat Collection, and I picked up Cyberpunk on Switch 2, like that, just to show support to that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so it is really cool when companies do that. But yeah, when you are releasing this game on so many different platforms, like you are releasing it PC, Switch, PS5, Xbox, just another expense of having to buy this more expensive card, mass produce them. I can definitely see why a lot of third party companies are discouraged in doing this. Nonetheless, it sucks to see. I already filled up this survey, and if game key cards like upset you too, definitely fill this out. Both your wallet and your voices be heard because that's the only way you're gonna see stuff.
Yeah, and I think what most people are even asking for here is like you don't have to get rid of game key cards. We understand that
Right.
some that's going to make sense for some games, but why does it feel like 95% of the games are game key cards? Nintendo, can you
Yeah.
do something to just even it out a little bit and get most of the games that collectors are going to want to target back on real cards where those games will just be playable for as long as the card doesn't rot. Um, and I think most people would be happy with that, just to see some movement back toward this physical game feels like the games that we used to have back in the day, and continue
Right.
that somewhat. All right, let's hit this one quick. EA is interested in turning Apex Legends into a film or TV series. This is from Ben Lyons at Game Reactor. Uh, yeah, I mean, they just said they have a lot of, they want to make this happen. I guess I can see why, but also this feels like one that when they say it, even if it gets announced and there's a writer and a director attached, Apex Legends feels like one that never actually gets released, right? We don't actually get
Yeah.
a movie or TV show based on this.
Yeah, I mean, you would really hope that people do find a way of turning this into a theme for that demo. I mean, like Apex Legends has been kind of on a downswing for a good long time now. I mean, it's a beaten to death dead horse, but like, I mean, a Titanfall show would also be kind of cool.
Yeah, give me
Something along the
Titanfall.
lines
Get Tony
Pacific Rim
Gilroy to make
style.
a Titanfall
Yeah.
show
Oh
like
man,
Andor for me, everybody, and
uh,
then we're fucking cooking. Let's go.
that would be
Uh,
incredible, actually.
Yeah,
But
I think that could be some good stuff. Apex Legends,
yes.
I get that's the bigger name brand, but I wonder if that means like we're gonna tell the story of. I guess it's like a game show kind of thing, or like a galactic competition is the story of Apex Legends. It never really mattered
Oh,
when I was playing, so I never paid all that much
yeah.
attention. And it's like I don't know if I need another thing that is like the Squid Games or whatever. Uh, we'll see though.
Yeah.
Uh, Starfield reportedly targeting PS5 release in 2026 following quote unquote weak sales of first expansion. This is from Tom Ivan at VGC. Microsoft is reportedly planning to release Starfield for PlayStation 5 in 2026. That's according to MP First's sources. And that's, I guess, as a direct result of the expansion not doing what they needed it to do. But also, they're at a point now where it feels like, yeah, of course, all the other games are going to PlayStation. Why wouldn't this?
Yeah.
Forza's on there, so anything can go on there. Basically, we're talking about Halo and Gears of War is going to PlayStation 5. So
Yeah.
if Gears of War can go there, clearly Starfield can. Even though there was definitely a time when they were saying Starfield would never come to PlayStation. That was, I mean,
Right.
I saw the paperwork, John, where they like did the math on why they would never release it on PlayStation, and that was their internal position on that. Obviously, a lot has changed since then.
Yeah.
This game's coming to PlayStation, right?
Yeah. It's kind of just a matter of time. Like there's not a lot of games in their catalog that I feel like will not come at this point, especially games that are just like consistently releasing now. Yeah, I mean, Bethesda's a big name. People like have fond memories of Bethesda. I mean, it was pretty controversial in the first place when they were talking about Starfield being exclusive, which might have made sense at the time, but now in hindsight, maybe it would have been better to blow this game up a little bit more. But it's it is funny how Microsoft makes all these games and they come out. Sometimes they come out hot. Sometimes they come out cold. And now, when they launch next year, I'm assuming haven't really played the DLC. That Starfield's PS5 debut will probably be a better experience than their debut on Xbox, which is something to say.
Yep, and that's how it's gone repeatedly now, but especially in Starfield's case, you could see that being
Yeah.
how it goes down. Apparently, they're going to try to time this with the next expansion. So there's another expansion they're
Oh,
making. They'll try to time it with that. So yeah, it could be really a definitive version of Starfield when it's all
yeah.
said and done. I don't know how much they can improve that game in most people's eyes. I thought it was fine. I thought it was a fine game. I think that was a disappointment at the same time
Right.
that it was just fine. So both are true. It's a disappointment, but it's fine. Um, that's not. I mean, people spend a lot of money on these games. They don't want to settle for something that's a disappointing fine.
Right.
And like I said, I don't know how much they're going to be able to change the fundamentals of that game to get it to a point where it plays the way people expect a Bethesda game to play and has all the possibility space going as well. It's just kind of a lackluster game overall. All
Mhm.
right. We have a poll question that we never got to from the Thursday that we never posted, but I posted it a little bit later. And it's what is your grade for the Nintendo Direct? As always, because YouTube dropped our options, there's only 4 options: A, B, C, or D. But we can assume D is equivalent to failing in this case. All right. So in that case, 3% gave it an A. Almost no one loved this Direct. And it's a partner
Right.
Direct. So I think that's fair. But 17% gave it a B. The vast majority
Mhm.
of people, or the plurality here, I should say, is 48% at C, and then 32% gave it a D. So yeah, most people on the lower end of the spectrum, and I think that's fair. There were a lot of games in there for me. I gave it a C as
For
well,
sure.
John. It was just kind of
Yeah.
a ho hum direct, even though we knew what a partner direct could be. Even for a partner direct, though, I think it was a little lackluster. Is that where you end up?
Yeah, I think I forget what I said last Friday when you posted this. I am in the C, maybe lower C, high D range. There's a lot of cool franchises there, but like Katamari coming back, really cool. I'm happy for the people who like the Octopath games. I've just bounced off all of them, and I like RPGs. I play a lot of them. I'm playing through the Dragon Quest one right now, but yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of big standout ones. I think there was someone saying this morning that there were a couple games that just were supposed to be, but were not in
Yeah,
the
so I
direct
didn't I
name.
didn't include that. I had that story and I
Yeah.
was considering. So Chris Dring over the weekend said that there were 3 games that he heard 100% were going to be in the direct and they weren't in there. And he
Gotcha.
said, like, so show goes to show you how much these things change. Which yes, everybody, they do. It does change that crazily from time to time, which is why this stupid job I found myself in of trying to predict these things for people is a pain in the ass. But I don't. I like. What could those games be? I mean, it's a partner showcase, so it would have been a bunch of
Yeah.
third-party games. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
I don't know. So yeah, maybe that means Gamescom's going to be really hot. I don't know. Do you think that we are overdue for a lot more announcements, even though we just got that partner direct? And I'm talking specifically about like Switch 2 announcements.
Yeah, I think so too. There was kind of a general vibe at Evo itself that a lot of Switch 2 games kind of were dateless. And like games that I think would make a lot of sense to be on Switch 2, like Tekken 8, like with some DLC stuff. It's kind of crazy that no announcements were there for that. Fatal Fury. Yeah, I think it's going to be a combo of Gamescom and Tokyo Game Show. I might be leaning a little bit more to Tokyo Game Show, kind of
Oh
opening
yeah,
the
that's a good
floodgates
point.
to like Square Enix, Capcom, Konami. We'll see what's there. I when they said 3 games, I'm probably thinking that maybe they originally were going to announce some of the Resident Evil remakes on there, but maybe it just got pushed for whatever reason, like a um, lining up with marketing or something. I don't know, but yeah, I think we are due for it. There's not a lot of games in the latter half of the year with like concrete dates yet, so
Yeah,
um, it's kind of just a guessing game at this point.
I'm changing my vote to a B because I remembered Philadelphia. Shouts out
Oh,
to
true.
Philadelphia. Phil,
Yeah.
Flip, Philadelphia. Man,
Philadelphia.
that's a hard thing to say, actually.
Yeah.
All right. That's the poll question from last week. We will have another new poll question here in a second. Before we get to that, John, why don't you tell people where they can find you on the internet, what you have going on, all that good stuff?
Yeah. So yeah, you guys can find me, Jon Martin on Blue Sky. I post about my goings on. I am going to be streaming later this week. Dear Me, I Was. I've heard it's a tearjerker. It seems like a really good visual or like watercolor story by the Hotel Dusk people. Seems like it's going to be a good time.
Yep.
But yeah, besides that, not much. Just still cooking on videos, making sure everything's perfect. But I keep saying that every time. But yeah,
That's the job, though. Ain't that's how it always goes.
yeah.
Uh, all right, new poll question: have you played a Darksiders game before? Yes or no? Interested to see like the general, well, our more general audience. Did you play Darksiders back on Xbox 360 and then try to keep up with the series over time? We'll get the results of that. We will talk about it on Game Mess Mornings here on Giant Bomb tomorrow, or I'm sorry, Wednesday. Tomorrow's Bombcast, in fact. And so speaking of Giant Bomb, yep, tomorrow Bombcast. Today it's Monday. Mitch owns Mondays. I think
Oh,
he's back. People are asking, where's Mike and Dan? They should be back now. They were traveling last week. You saw them on some kind of funny stuff. We got some other stuff in the hopper that'll happen because of that.
super cool.
But just hold your horses on those. And in the meantime, we should be back to a mostly normal schedule this week. So I think we're doing Riven. I think. I guess I should let
That'd be
Mitch tell
cool.
us. Yeah, let me see here. I'm going to take a look at the calendar. It's on the calendar. So I think that means
Cool.
it. So we'll do that. Monday mornings missed with Mitch. The sequel Riven will get started today, and then he'll do Mega Man tonight. We'll have some other stuff happening as well, and then the rest of the week, yeah, look out for Blight Club returning. We should be able to finish up Pimp My Ride with Dan Reichert. Pimp My Reichert on
Hell
Wednesday.
yeah.
Voicemail Dump Truck. A whole bunch of stuff happening. So look out for that later this week. In the meantime, though, John, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talk about video games, man. I really appreciate it.
It's always a pleasure, Jeff. Thanks so much for having me.
Yep. Thanks for coming on. It's great stuff. Thank you all for watching and listening. You're the
Oh,
best audience in gaming. Oh, yeah. Is there something?
yeah, yeah. I think Mike said something on Thursday.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
he
that's
wants to
right.
play Fighters. That's cool.
Oh, yeah,
Dragon Ball
that's right.
Fighters.
We're gonna try to get Blight Club in on Thursday. That's right. We got things
Gotcha.
happening. Okay. All right. So it's gonna be a mess again this week, but we'll figure it all out and put some fun stuff out for you. It worked last week with just me and Bacalar. So we'll
Yeah,
figure it
the
out
Jeffs.
again. Yeah, the definitely is still happening. All right. Thank you everybody for watching. The best audience of gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself and goodbye.